action always beats overwhelm. Action always beats self-doubt. Because the more we do, the less we think. The less we think, the less we doubt. The less we doubt, the more we do. But
Morgan Nelson is the founder of the Dream Out Loud company, an education and mindset training company for entrepreneurs and salespeople and coaches.
Today, an NLP master shares the mindset and methods behind his first million.
you see, our mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. So our unconscious mind, whatever it sees and focuses on, it seems real and we'll feel it. So I think everybody knows what they need to do. The mind just gets in the way and creates stories as to why they shouldn't do it.
How do you effectively set goals based on neuroscience and just follow through those goals? Because a lot of people set goals. Most people don't follow through. Well, first of all, welcome to the United States of America, my friend. You just got in here a couple of days ago.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Getting back in. I love being here, so thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, you know, I wanted you to be on the podcast because when I was in Australia, I was on about 4 or 5 different podcasts, and I told Nick here and a couple of the guys that are with me there in our Aussie team, I was like, hey, that Morgan guy, like we had a really good conversation about, you know, how to be on stage and how to communicate just in general. I was like, get that guy on the show next time he comes to the US. So I want to learn a little bit about how you got involved in all this. Like, how did this all start? You born out of your mother's womb with this crazy vision, or what happened?
Yeah, right. Well, I was born, became a millionaire really, really fast. No, by
the age of 11.
Yeah.
What happened?
Longest story cut short. You know, when I finished school, I was told, you know, whatever you do when you go out there, Morgan, don't do anything in reading, writing, speaking, or journalism, because it's not your strong suit at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was quite unconfident.
Okay.
And quite shy, unless I was, 10 to kill.
Were you like introverted, or what do you mean?
I wouldn't really say. I was just more so like, if I was around my close friends, you know, it was all good. But apart from, I'm not going to go talk to a stranger. I was never going to get into sales or business or anything like that. But all I wanted to do was have freedom and have fun with my life. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did, and went down the rabbit hole of drugs, alcohol, partying, crazy shit that you
could be trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I actually found network marketing at 21. And
you got into MLM as a 21-year-old.
And funny enough, I was actually just driving down here because we're in Scottsdale. Yeah. The company that I was involved with is actually headquarters here.
What company is that?
Isogenics.
Okay, I'm familiar with that. Network marketing has a lot of companies here in Arizona and Utah. It's like in Texas. It's like the 3 states where everybody's headquartered. Yeah.
So I was just driving down the street. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I haven't been here in a long time. Yeah. So I started network marketing at 21. So here I was, a carpenter at the time. Yeah. And a friend just said to me, he's like, come make an extra income stream. And I was like, I need money. Yeah. I don't care if it's a pyramid scheme or whatever you're calling it. Like, I'm in then. And, if you've obviously been in sales a long time, I had to start learning how to talk to people. Yeah. I had to start to learning. And my first year in network marketing, a lot of people think they get started in this thing and then they become a millionaire right away. Yeah. And I actually lost money my first year because what I realized was, it wasn't even about skill building yet. It was more so about unlearning everything in here. Yeah. See, I grew up in a world of, victim mindset, of lack, scarcity. Okay. So I decided to unlearn all of these things that have fed into my mindset.
This story you kept buying into.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jim Rohn was actually, a friend gave me a Jim Rohn CD.
Really?
And I'd listen to it every single day.
Tony Robbins' mentor.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it was like a 56-minute recording. I had a 52-minute drive to work every single day. Yeah. And I listened to that CD every single day for about 90 days straight.
What did that help you with? What did it do to you?
Just changed my philosophy. So what I realized is this, like when we start to goal set and want to achieve, a lot of people set out and they'll go, okay, I want to make this sort of money, but it's not actually the result. People don't want more dollars in the bank account or pictures with dead people in their wallet, right? They think, okay, I want to be on the beach, or I want to have this lifestyle. So lifestyle comes first. Yeah. And then they go, okay, in order to have this lifestyle, what result do I need to have? Okay, well, I need to make $1 million a year or 6-figure income, whatever it might be. Yeah. Great. Okay, what do I do now? I do what every self-help guru says, and I take massive action. Yeah. I set goals, I work hard, I hustle, I grind, I don't sleep. Yeah. And that's good, but it's only one piece of the equation. Yeah. Because what comes before that is the philosophy that drives the action. Yeah. And what listening to this CD did was just start to change the philosophy, change the weeds that were inside of my head. And I remember just something so simple as Jim Rohn being like, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And I was like, that's profound.
Yeah, because it actually can be easy if you have the right communication skills. Yeah. It can be really hard if you don't.
Hey guys, Jeremy Miner here. Look, a lot of you leave comments wanting me to help you sell more. So the easiest way to get a hold of me, the quickest way, is to text me. So text me right now. It's 480-637-2944. So 480-637-2944. Listen, I started this company to help you learn how to close more deals, but do it the right way. Text me right now. Let's get back to the training video.
I literally thought to be a millionaire, to be successful, you had to be born into wealth, win the lottery, or part of the lucky sperm club. And I'm like, man, I ain't either of these things.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was a skill that would be learnable. So I'm just wanting to sort of set that for people that might be listening to this being like,
so you
could I
started to
succeed in
rewire
this?
your brain, your thought process. As a psychologist, we call that a frame or a story that you believed in, your worldview, that selling was something that you were probably doing to people rather than selling is something I'm doing for people. A whole different way of thinking there.
Selling was hard for me actually, because in the beginning, I think I sold 8 people in my first year. One of them was my girlfriend, so she had to jump in, right? So these are 7 people. Okay, so I was not petrified, but I had no idea what to do because it was all about myself. So my first year was at self-development. Second year I got a little bit better. My third year I was financially free. I grew that business to enough where I was making a residual income, replacement income, and I moved to Mexico, actually.
You moved to Mexico of all places from Australia.
Yeah.
Where were you at in Australia then?
On the Gold Coast.
Oh, Gold Coast. Okay, where I was on your podcast at.
Yeah.
So you moved to Mexico. What happens in Mexico?
So what I realized, I thought I bought the network marketing dream of being like, great, I'm going to quit my job. Now I'm retired. I literally put on Instagram, like, I'm retired now.
Just coast back, collect the residual checks, don't have to do anything in my life.
That lasted a day, and then I got bored. But then I just got really obsessed on one question. How did I go from broke, miserable, drunk, drug addict, depressed, toxic, to financially free, abundant by 23? And it was about a 3-year period. I got obsessed on that and the brain and the mind. And I just did a massive deep dive into behavioral psychology, neuroscience.
Who did you learn that from?
I think I probably started my first deep dive with Tony Robbins, actually.
Tony Robbins,
okay.
That's a really good person to really learn from, for sure.
And then one of my mentors, David, he's just been in the personal development space for a long time. So he's really sort of helped condition a lot of just like lifestyle and attitude around life.
Yeah.
But then, just books, courses, seminars, everything I get my hands on.
Okay.
And then done the whole depths of, I'm an NLP trainer now, hypnotherapy.
So you got into NLP, let's talk about NLP. I really like NLP. I've studied a lot of NLP, probably in the last 15 years, before I started this company 5.5 years ago or so. I have some different thoughts on NLP and how to tweak that. Have you ever dived into where NLP actually came from?
Yeah. So the 2 guys, John Grinder and Richard Bandler, these guys created it. So
who did they learn it from, though?
So they studied, it's the combination of about 100 or so years of psychology. So I think they picked a lot of the best of different therapies. They went Gestalt therapy, psychotherapy, all the things.
Sigmund Freud,
But a lot of it came from, I wish I can, one of the top hypnotherapists,
Eric Mill. Are you talking about what is his name? Eric Mill.
Milton Erickson. A lot of the work came from Milton Erickson.
Family therapy.
On how you can use language and start to shift, and so that was the thesis of that. Was sort of
shift them out of an identity into a new identity.
Yeah, that was sort of where I was based, and it's pretty cool. You can do like sort of a week deep dive, and it's probably nothing on like a 4-6 year degree on understanding the mind, but
a lot of it is like you go to school. I went to school for behavioral science and human psychology, and you learned a lot of that stuff, but you don't necessarily know how to apply that to communication. You're talking about patience and taking them out of their we call them frames or their way of thinking, their worldview based on their childhood, usually from the ages of 4 to 13. Where your prospects have frames too, or ways of thinking, right? Just like a patient does. And then how do you take them out of that frame? We call that a deframe. How do you deframe them out of that way of thinking? So let's say if you're a therapist and your patient is thinking about committing suicide, that's their way of thinking, right? That I can't do this, I've got to commit suicide. So how do you take them out of that way of thinking, that frame or belief system? That's called a deframe. Then how do you reframe them? That's the process into a new way of thinking or a new identity.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of what Tony Robbins does at his events.
Yeah. So this, I want to be careful how I tiptoe on this one in case there's anyone depressed watching this. But essentially, like what you're hitting on is if we tend to not see the world as it is, we see the world as worse than what it actually is.
Yeah.
So people will often get depressed. The depression is the feeling of what we're focusing on.
Yeah.
Right. So if we can switch the focus, we can switch the feeling. Now, that's not to say that, people could have chemical imbalance in their head and fall below baseline. So definitely speak to a professional.
For sure.
But, if I was speaking to somebody that actually sort of came to me and that was the problem, I guess what I'm looking for is where it started to become the problem.
Yeah.
So at what point, like when you came out of your mother's womb, were you absolutely depressed?
Yeah.
Like I've had people come to me and they're like, I've always been depressed. And my question is, always?
Always?
Because the brain will generalize, delete the stored information.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for what's happening there. Are you generalizing
saying, like,
something?
You never take out the trash.
Yeah.
Or you
like
always
never?
are mean to me.
Always. And
Always?
people, I'll get this one most in sales.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, but this stuff never works for me. Never works? Just that question. Never works?
Yeah.
And then they'll start to dissolve what's happening in their head. But they're like, well, not like never, but most of the time. Most of the time, it's like how many times we talk, and then like,
you clarify and probe where they start to understand the real situation, not like generalize it.
Yeah. So like, oh, I've had one bad experience. So one bad experience, like you willing to let one bad experience, dictate the rest of your life? Yeah. Well, not really. So what do you want to do? Yeah. And I'll just start to just switch that. I'm looking to.
It's a good reframe.
Yeah, break that down, but switch it and just a new focus, a new sort of angle of where they're going. But with people that are depressed or in that sort of space, it's because they're focusing on that, they don't have a hope for the future. They've lost some sort of hope. Yeah. So if I can start to sort of switch what's happening inside their head, get them to get out of their own sort of perspective. Yeah. But the fastest way I'll do it, especially if I'm running a seminar, which we run programs back in Australia. Sure. This is why it works good for Tony, because everyone perceived Tony as the authority. Yeah. Right. And then we're playing on an authority bias. So we will do more to please the authority than we'll do for ourselves, right? There's been so many studies done, and Milgram experiment, I was talking to you about that last time, right? And there's been studies done with police officers walking up to strangers on the road saying, hey, stop, can you just litter for me? And they make them litter, and they're like, yeah. And it just shows it's the smallest thing, but we just made you do something illegal because an authority person said. Yeah. So what Tony will do, he'll play the authority, but then he'll go, okay, well, let's pretend if we switch bodies. Okay, you are me and I'm you. I'm really depressed. My life sucks, blah, blah, blah. What do you have to say to me? And then instantly you can get them into not just the body of someone else, but a body of who they perceive as an authority. Yeah. And they start to coach themselves. This, I always look for I'm a quite lazy person. Yeah. I look for what's the fastest, most effective way to get the result.
You're more strategic. You have more leverage.
Yeah.
The easiest way to help them overcome their story, right? Yeah. Just like a prospect has stories of how much is this going to cost at the beginning of a sales call, or, I always have to talk with my spouse before making a decision. That's their story, right? Yeah. So how do you take them out of that story?
You always have to talk to your spouse?
Always.
Has there ever been a time where you haven't talked to your spouse?
Yeah.
Has there been a time
where your spouse hasn't talked to you?
Has there been a time you've talked to your spouse and she talked to you about doing something you really wanted to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. What do you want to do then? That's literally my closing question. It's funny because I don't even do much selling, actually. I sell more in the room. Yeah. And I like to more focus on persuasion. I actually put 99
of my objection from even happening in their mind.
Yeah, 99% of my focus is persuasion and then giving you a great offer. And that's what I found works. To be honest, I actually suck on a one-on-one sales call now. Yeah. It's funny because I did so much for so long, and once I sort of started doing one-to-many, if I'm one-on-one with someone, I'm like, I don't know, man. If you wanna buy, just freaking buy it. Dude. I don't, why are we talking? If you went back
into one-on-one selling and that was all you were doing, you would probably start focusing on it much better, for sure. But it is different when you're selling one-to-many compared to one-on-one, or let's say if you're a B2B salesperson, you're selling 1 to 10 decision makers, a little bit different than one-on-one with the consumer compared to 1 to 1,000 in an audience. There's different things that you have to do and different tweaks you have to make. I want to dive into this. You talk how do you effectively set, and I think this is really good for the salespeople watching and entrepreneurs, coaches. How do you effectively set goals based on neuroscience and just follow through with those goals? Because a lot of people set goals, most people don't follow through. So why does that happen? And then how do you prevent that from happening?
Yeah, so I'm loving this at the moment because I'm writing my book, The Dream Out Loud Method. It's like my whole program I run back home. Yeah. And I'm writing the whole book on it right now. And as I've been fleshing it out, having to, when you write, you sort of take knowledge that you speak, you have to, it comes out different. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, so I'm getting a lot clearer on this. And so what they've found is, when it comes to setting goals, so the first law of creating a dream life is vision, right? What is the vision? What is the goal? And here's what they noticed. why do most people not save for retirement? Have you ever wondered that? It's not actually lack of information, because if I said to everybody, could you at some point in the next year figure out how to become a millionaire before the time you retire? Everybody could. Like, the information's out there. I guarantee we've got probably a few books in here that could teach you, right?
Go to ChatGPT.
Type in
the question.
S&P 500, invest this much, put in a calculator, boom.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite simple.
Yeah.
But why do people not do it? Here's what they realize. So in the Emily Balsamis lab in New York City, what they realized, they studied people like this for goal setting. And they realized is the same reason why people don't save for retirement is because it's simple. It's too far away to get excited to take action now.
Because they don't feel any pain. Or have
But
fear
it's
of
just
future pain.
So what happens is this: there's inside of our body, there's this. I forget the exact name for it, but let's just make it easy. There's a certain blood pressure that needs to go up. And the blood pressure goes up, we'll excrete adrenaline. Get adrenaline, we get excited, we get motivated. Let's do something. Let's actually take action.
Yeah.
But if we don't get that feeling of excitement and motivation, then we're not going to take the action.
Yeah.
And what they realized is, if we set goals either too big or too far away, it doesn't put our blood pressure up to get us excited to take action. So if we go, okay, this year, you know what, I'm super excited, 2025, let's do it. You know, I made $100,000 last year, $95,000 a year before. I've never broken actually 100,000. So this year, let's do it. It's my year. I'm doing $1 million.
Yeah.
The brain will go, I don't know. And because it's such a jump, right?
It's a huge jump, yeah.
Right?
Jump.
It will actually go, it's not that exciting because I can't really taste it yet.
Yeah.
It doesn't really seem believable, and it won't actually motivate you. So it just becomes this thing we wrote on our goals.
Yeah.
So what they found is it's either, if it's too big, doesn't excite us, doesn't put the blood pressure up, or if it's too far away. So if we go, okay, in the next 10 years, I'm gonna make $1 million a year. Same thing. We're like, far out, like, rather just enjoy my life and you know what I mean?
You get too busy, you lose focus.
Yeah. And then the same thing will also happen
mind.
if it's too small. So let's say Bob making $100,000 a year goes, next year I want to increase 10%, $110,000 next year. That's my salary. You know, he's also, when it comes down to making that extra sales call, he's not that motivated to do it now because an extra $10,000 isn't going to change your lifestyle that much.
Yeah.
It's not that drastic. So you're not really going to get super motivated to stay up late, wake up early, work on weekends, do the things you need to do. You know, so what they've seen is you need to find somewhere in between this.
Okay.
And I forget, there was a famous basketball player, it could have been Kobe Bryant, used to talk about setting stretch goals. So it's like, if you can stretch this far as you can possibly go, set the goal for just past that.
Okay.
And it's sort of find that sweet spot between not too small, not too short, not too big, not too far.
Okay.
So I always like to think of annual goals. I love annual goals.
Yeah.
And I'll think of, perfect example is this. When I was reading this study, actually, it was July last year. Okay. And we did the first half of last year, we did 1 point something million in one of my companies, right? Yeah. And then I went like this. I go, could I make, I think it was 2 million. I set the goal. I was like, could I make, no, 1.5 million. I go, could I do 1.5 million between now and the end of the year? Like, could I make more in this next half, than what we did in the first half? And I go, yeah, you could. I said, good. If you can do 2 then. I go, oh shit. I don't know if I could do 2. I said, I know if you can't, but if you had to, how would you do it? And I was sitting in the sauna. I get the best ideas in the sauna. I go, if I had to, how would I do it? What this does is this. When we set a goal sort of medium, right, we have 101 ways we can hit it. Like I do this, da, 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 da. And when we stretch it, we go that little bit bigger and we go, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Okay, but if you could, how would you? It eliminates 99% of the decisions.
So you get more focused on one
and
way.
You go, well, there's only, if I was going to do it, I would have to do this and this. Good, then do that.
Okay.
It's exactly what I did. And we came in just short of about 1 point.
So it wires your brain in to be more focused on the one thing, because if you got 20 different ways, your brain can't focus on anything. You're just like a master of nothing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So instead of focusing on these little tiny crappy tasks, I focus on the big things. And I made some changes in my calendar. I said, well, if we really focus on this event, we got this many people there, I think we'd probably do about that figure. And then all I have to do, if I actually added in one more event here, we'd probably hit that. And we did it.
So
and
it would be like a salesperson being like, hey, I want to increase my sales by 30% this year. What do I need to focus on? Oh, let's say if I took inbound leads or something from like an SDR. Well, my show up rate from that SDR is, let's say 50%. But what if I train that SDR better and now my show up rate is going to be 70%? just by more people showing up on my calendar, I make more sales. That could be like an example of just the one thing.
Yeah. Like what's the thing that's going to make the biggest difference? But I think everybody knows what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
The mind just gets in the way and creates stories as to why they shouldn't do it.
They shouldn't do it. Or
all these limiting beliefs, these fears will pop up, will threaten their identity, or threaten all the craziest shit. This is why building a business or striving for success and actually having a relationship is the best personal development ever. Because a relationship will trigger the shit out of you, and you'll find your projection in the other person.
Yeah.
You'll find where you still need to work on. A business or succeeding as high as you can, especially in sales. I like to look at salespeople even working in an organization as their own business, because you can really be that entrepreneur. You can operate as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wear the risk.
Yeah.
So you can write your own paycheck every single year.
100%. What's the best productivity hack you would say to stop procrastinating on your goals?
So the annual goal.
Yeah.
Let's go start with the annual goal first, right? So I'm first going to do that. I'm going to be like, what could I'm just going to ask like crazy questions like, what could I accomplish this year if everything went to plan and I really worked as hard as I could? Like, what's the best number? Good. And then how do I feel about that? I'm going to first check in inside. How would I feel about that? Do I think it's possible?
Yeah.
Or is it scary? If it's not scary, increase more until I hit that fear. I'm like, how would I do that? Good. Next question. Well, if you were going to do it, how would you do it? Good. Get this. Then I'm going to break my year down to quarters. And I'll create my rocks. Okay. So I can never really see quarter 4 properly or quarter 3. To me, that's still kind of too far. Like it could change based off what I do in quarter 1, 2.
Yeah.
So if I set my 12 month, that's what I want to achieve. I always make it a monetary sort of thing. I think that's some sort of numerical figure. It's always the easiest to hit, right?
Sure.
Instead of like, I'm going to improve my confidence. It's got to be specific.
Yeah.
How much money, or like what weight loss, or like how if you were to write in your diary that you've achieved your goal, how would you describe that is done, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to break it down to quarters. And then all I'm focused on is my next 12 weeks in front of me. I'm sprinting in 12-week cycles. So I'm going to focus on my 3 to 5 rocks.
Okay.
So what are the 3 to 5 end results that I can really accomplish this quarter?
Yeah.
Because that's always going to come down to, like, if we look at the 12-month thing, that could be dependable on other circumstances. Let's say Trump gets in the office and changes all the tariffs. Like, I don't know, maybe that affects your business. You don't know about that. But in the next quarter, you're in charge of that. So if I'm in charge of how many calls I want to make, I'm in charge of how many events I want to run, how many customer acquisition, events or inquiries I want to make. Like, I'm in charge of these things. I can always affect the outcome myself. So the 3 to 5 things. And then I break it down again. So I have this thing called, I have a Life by Design plan. I can even get a link for it. People can get it for free. It's like I call it my BAM. Okay. So then I break it down into my week plan. Okay. What am I doing for the week? What are the 3 to 5 things I'm accomplishing this week? And then when I start my day, I just focus on my week, because my year's plan, my quarter's plan, my week's planned. So I know that if I focus on these weekly things, it's going to do the outcome of my rocks. If I focus on my rocks for the quarter, I get the outcome of the year. So now I'm not focusing on other crazy shit. I'm focused on my week ahead. I break it down into my days then. So at the end of my day, all I do is write down, okay, what is my 3 BAM for tomorrow? My bare ass minimum.
Okay.
What is the 3 things? If the only thing I did tomorrow was that, it's still a very successful day, and it affected one of my rocks for the week.
Okay.
Because we all have shit days. Like, I flew in yesterday,
You're tired,
30-hour flight, and I'm a little bit cooked, right?
Then you came over here all the way.
As soon as I landed, I had a 2-hour podcast yesterday with Chase. I had to drive 2 hours to his house. Like, I get on a plane. I landed at 2 a.m. last night. I'm here with you today.
Yeah.
My alarm woken up at 10 o'clock this morning. That's how cooked my body was. But I wake up and I've got to get things done still.
Yeah.
So I focus on, there's going to be days where I'm not feeling my best.
Yeah.
But even those days, what are the 3 things I still need to do?
Yeah.
So in that way, if I get them done before 10 o'clock and I'm feeling like shit, I take the rest of my day off. Because the beautiful thing then is I take the day off guilt-free, and my self-esteem isn't then attacked because I know I did the important things, and I can give myself the break. I think where people screw themselves up is going, I gotta listen to my body, self-care, self-love, and I gotta rest, I gotta meditate and all this shit. It's like, I gotta go to Sedona for the weekend, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, take care of it. But I'm still a big advocate on do the bare ass minimum still.
Yeah.
Because even on the days when you get to take the rest, you're going to feel a lot better about yourself having done those 3 little things. And a lot of the
you
time,
actually got something done.
And a lot of the time you can get them done really fast, right? Because people stretch all day. It's like Parkinson's law. People take all day to get these 3 things done. If I go, I'm feeling like crap doing the next hour, you can often get them done.
How would you What would you say this is kind of such a generalized question, but what would you say the secret is to get rid of self-doubt? So let's say they're a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
How do they get rid of the self-doubt? Because
Action.
let's say that, we train them everything they need to know. They're a client,
Yeah.
we train them, exactly what to say, what to ask, their tonality. But let's say they're just like, oh my gosh, like I still can't pick up the phone, or I still can't knock on that door, or I still don't feel comfortable getting in front of a prospect. What would you say the secret is to get rid of that self-doubt?
It's literally action. The more we do, like, here's the thing. I skydive for fun.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've learned so much from skydiving.
Mhm.
When I jump out of the airplane, I have about 60 seconds to make, should be the right decision, to open my parachute and fix any problems that might occur and land safely, right? 60 seconds free fall. So you're falling every 5 seconds, 1,000 feet on average. Guess what I'm thinking about when I'm in the air?
What?
Am I thinking about, that deal that went wrong? What do I got to do tomorrow? Overthinking.
Hopefully not.
I'm not thinking about, I hope my parachute opens. I'm not thinking about the landing. None of that. I'm literally in the fucking moment.
Yeah.
Thinking, where am I? Where am I in the space? Am I safe? What's my altitude? Boom, when I'm ready, I know what to do. Pull the parachute.
Yeah.
That's it. So action always beats overwhelm. Action always beats self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more we do, the less we think. The less we think, the less we doubt. The less we doubt, the more we do.
True.
But inaction creates doubt, because the less we do, the more we doubt. So the less we do, the more we think. The more we think, the more we doubt. The more we doubt, the less we do. And it creates this spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we're like, I haven't made any phone calls today, and it gets even worse, even worse. So
Because we don't pick up the phone. Yeah.
I would be more so focused. I don't know if this goes against what you teach or not, but if I was working with someone and they're like, I've got all the skills, but I'm not taking the action yet.
Most of the time, people don't take action because they have a lack of skill. And the lack of skill causes them to have a lack of confidence, right? Like if you're a neurosurgeon and let's say somehow you cheated through medical school and you don't really know what you're doing, what's your confidence going to be like the first time the patient's in front of you? You're going to be like, oh crap, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
but if you went to medical school and you have all this knowledge and you know exactly what to do, right? And you went through residency and you've been in the game, your confidence is going to be much higher because you've acquired the skill.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of both.
Well, confidence will follow evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I first started skydiving, we did the same thing. So this is a perfect example, just to the extreme. Okay. You pick up a sales phone, no one's going to kill you on the other end.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you learn how to skydive, there's a large possibility. A lot can go wrong. So when I first started learning, they sat me in a tin shed for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 100-degree Fahrenheit day. Tin shed, death by PowerPoint all day long, just PowerPoint, like all the ways how to die skydiving. And then if you ever get any of these things happen to you, how to solve it.
Okay.
And then they go, okay, you ready? Let's do your first jump. And I'm like, I've kind of changed my mind at this point. I'm like,
I'm not sure. I have a lack of confidence.
Yeah,
now.
I'm like, I'm not sure. Because before, my lack of knowledge, I was more confident.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's valid.
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I was sort of like naive to it, being like, yeah, I could give this thing a go. Like, how hard could it be? So then they go, okay, go do your first tandem jump with an instructor now. So then you have to go through all the safety procedures with them and show them that you know what you're doing. And now I knew that all the things that could go wrong, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I've jumped before and didn't have any fear.
So maybe the way they taught you was kind of backwards.
Well, no, it was
What
just...
if they taught you, here's what to do, and you're like, okay, I got to do this, this, and this. Would you have had more confidence rather than like, here's everything that could go wrong, and here's what to do to not have that go wrong?
I think there's no perfect way.
Yeah.
Because, sales, I think doing anything outside the comfort zone is going to come with some sort of fear.
Yeah.
Right? Anything great is going to come with some sort of fear. Otherwise, if it wasn't great, everyone would do it. And if everyone do it, it wouldn't be great.
Yeah. If it was too easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
But you never get ahead in life by doing easy things.
So we did the first jump, and I did the first jump. I said, okay, I commit to what I started. I do day one. Called my girlfriend that night. I said, look, I don't know if I'm gonna. I think I've changed my mind. My gut. And she goes, well, believe your intuition. I said, well, let me sleep on it. I don't know if it's my intuition saying like bad idea, or if this is just a fear I've never felt before.
Yeah.
The next day I come out and I'm walking down. We're getting our rig ready. I'm checking all the things that I'm pretending like I know what they are because I forget what they are. I'm checking all my equipment. I'm putting it on. And I'm freaking out, right? Same thing as I about to make my first phone call. I'm freaking out of all the things that could happen.
It's because they see the doubt in you. Because if you're like a sales manager and you're training your salespeople, you're like, hey, when the prospect answers, they're going to say this, they're going to try to get rid of you, they're going to do all this bad stuff. You're going to be like, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
However, if he would have taught you, like, here's exactly what to say, here's exactly what to ask, here's how to use your tone to shift that. Now you're going to make mistakes and sometimes it can go wrong. But I think the way they taught you first, that super negative stuff,
It could be.
I think that probably it seeded doubt in your brain
Yeah.
before you learned that. Yeah, it's
And
interesting.
but we also learn through stress conditioning.
Mhm.
So it's like building the nervous system. Because the reason we're scared is because our nervous system is frightened by something.
It's like they gave you the meat before the milk.
Yeah. But so you know what happened though? So I went out because here's what I know. If we're afraid of something, it's because we believe something bad's gonna happen on the other end. That's
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Fear is the perception of pain happening in the future. We
Yeah.
think pain will happen.
Mhm.
So we would only think something painful is gonna happen because we have some sort of belief in our mind that,
Yeah.
well, they get yelled at us. My mum yelled at me when I was a kid. That means I'm not good enough and no one's gonna love me. And it just rattles down.
Yeah.
My nervous system feels scared again. Exactly like I was when I was 6. So I went out there and I started looking. So there's 4 ways to create a new belief. First one is state. So how do we manage our state? So I checked my body. I'm like, what sort of state am I in? Am I feeling confident or am I feeling scared? Am I like this or am I composed?
Mm.
Right? Am I got a good posture? So I'm like, okay, check, go. So I went for a run. I just go for a run, got into a good state, got fired up, got ready.
Yeah.
Next thing was intention. Okay, what's my intention on this thing? Okay, is my intention to die? No. My
No.
intention is to here's what it
Have
was.
fun.
And here's the thing. I was thinking in my head, and I think this is where probably salespeople might go, well, I just got all these skills. I need to make sure it's perfect. I need to be like Jeremy on day 1.
No,
Right?
Sure.
So I was like, I saw these instructors landing. I'm like, I want to be like them, but what if I get line twist? What if I have a problem? What if my parachute doesn't come out properly?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, okay, my intention is this. Go out there and just have a great first jump. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just get one done.
Mhm.
Great. The third one is this, future pacing.
Mhm.
Like I said before, people don't see the world as it is. They see it worse than what it is.
Mm.
So they go into a place in their head.
True.
Oh my God, it's going to be crazy. They're going to scream at me, hang up in my face. They're going to punch me through the phone. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And they future pace this crazy thing happening. I'm
The
going to
future
lose my
pace, the
job.
negative stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
And then we bring that into the present.
Mhm.
We feel it as if it's real now, goes back and changes our state.
Mm.
All these things are starting to form beliefs.
Yeah.
So I focus on this. Okay, I'm going to future pace just having a great exit. It's not going to be perfect. I'm going to land. I'm not going to break my legs. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Then the fourth one is this. Evidence. Evidence. This is going to start to create beliefs inside of us. So I started to look around me. I'm like, how can I build evidence? How can I build evidence of me successfully skydiving when I've never done that?
Yeah.
How can you build evidence of you successfully closing a deal if you've never done that?
Mm.
You can't.
Yeah.
But can you borrow the belief from someone else?
Someone else,
Can you
yeah.
sit and watch you close a deal and be like, shit, if Jeremy could do it,
Eventually, I'll get that good. Yeah.
I could do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started to just build evidence in my head because it's got to exist in here first because this is what's controlling it all.
Mhm.
So I started to look at everyone else landing. I'm like, they could do it. Okay, just do it. And now it comes down to this. One step of courage.
Yeah.
So I put on my parachute, got all rigged up, had Top Gun, Danger Zone playing in my head. I'm like going to feel like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
We go up, we get to the edge of the door, and the guy says to me, as he sees me like as the altitude starts to climb, 14,000 feet, everyone's getting ready, put on your goggles.
Yeah.
You can feel your body going, shit, I know
You
what's about
run
to
out
happen.
by yourself?
Yeah. Oh,
How many-
they jump near you for the first one.
They only do it one time with you, then they let you go out yourself?
Yeah,
I don't
but-
think they do that in America.
But the instructors will jump with you for your
Okay.
first couple jumps. So
Okay.
they get out in the air with you, make sure you're stable, and make sure you pull your chute.
Okay.
But once it's pulled, you're completely by yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
I
they
don't know what
can't.
the regulations are in America on that.
It's similar
Is it
because
similar? Okay.
they've got to jump with you. It's quite similar.
Okay.
So we get to the door, and I'm looking at everything because I'm worried in my head line twists.
Yeah.
That's what I was worried about.
Okay.
Opening it and everything twisting up and jumbled.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking already 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
There's 5 stages to skydiving. Number 1, get out of the airplane.
Yeah.
That's the first
Gotta
step.
jump.
So he goes, dude, just focus on exiting.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. I remember this. Visual rehearsal.
Mhm.
There was a study done in this basketball group. They put 3 group of basketballs. The first group, they said, you guys, no practice for you today. Go home.
Mhm.
Second group, you guys, you're going to go to the court and shoot perfect 3 throws. We'll go practice every single day, all day, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Third group, you're going to be blindfolded, and I want you to visualize shooting 3 throws, perfect 3 throws, all day long.
Really interesting. Okay.
Group 1, they didn't improve at all. They went home, they did nothing.
Yeah.
Group 2 improved about 46% in
Sure.
accuracy, right? Because they practiced all day long.
Okay.
But group 3, who just visualized, increased their performance by about 27%. Like, not as much as one who's actually did it, but all they did was visually rehearse.
Interesting.
And they started to build it into their neural pathways, and their body felt familiar.
Built their confidence.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know these things. So he's like, just focus on exiting. So I said, oh my God, I fucking know this. So I'm just sitting there in the aircraft now, just going, picturing the perfect exit. Perfect, right? Perfect. So I focused on stage 1. I jumped out. It went to shit. It wasn't a perfect exit.
Yeah.
It was like a plastic bag in the wind. But then, you know what I was thinking? Stage 2 quickly happened. Stage 2 is free falling.
Yeah.
Now, if I had a bad exit, I'm not worried about that at stage 2. Yeah. Because I'm already in the next thing. I'm not worried about the past anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm taking so much action. I'm moving so fast.
Yeah.
I'm just free falling. Now, if I'm having a bad free fall and it comes time to do the stage 3, it doesn't matter about stage 2 anymore.
Yeah.
I got to deploy my parachute.
Yeah.
I got to focus on that now. Now I'm going to take care of that. If the deployment comes out and it's shit and it's bad and it's choppy and whatever, then eventually it happens. Doesn't matter. Get it right. Focus on stage 4, which is just parachute.
Yeah.
Figure out where to land. Stage 5 is landing.
Yeah.
Now, if I land, I'm not landing worrying about stage 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
I'm just going, shit.
Focus on stage 5.
Pack up. Go do it again.
Yeah.
How can I get feedback? How can I go again?
Yeah.
And this is the reason I share this story everywhere now is because the metaphor in that in itself is why people overthink, or they doubt themselves and they talk themselves out of doing things.
Yeah.
Because they might be at stage 1, but they're worried about what happened at stage 4. Bro, worry about that when you get there.
Yeah.
Trust your ability. And this was the thing I learned.
You go to stage 1 first.
Yeah. The thing I learned the most was it wasn't actually fear. I wasn't scared to jump out. I didn't trust myself. That was the answer I got. I was like, what are you worried about?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not worried. The question I said to myself, I said, but what if you don't open your parachute?
Yeah.
Why the hell would I not do that?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I've never done it before. I don't have the evidence yet.
Yeah.
So it really came down to a lack of self-trust. But how do we build self-trust? By building evidence. Now I've done 35 jumps. I jump out, I backflip out the door.
So it's about the repetition.
Yeah.
The repetition of the one thing. You can't get good at something without the repetition, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be perfect on a sales call the first time.
So what I'd be saying to people is this, for getting the sales, trust yourself that you've got the tools on the tool belt to use when and if they're ready.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then just pick up the phone and practice for stage 1. Stage 1, I'd imagine, would be dial and say hello.
Yeah.
That's stage 1. Even if you get up and you say hello in your opener, then it goes to shit. All good. Hang up, practice your opener, and just get your opener better.
Get good at the opener. Start getting the opener after the first couple of weeks. Then the next stage, you're like, hey, I've got that down. What do I do after the opener?
Exactly.
Yeah?
So people are probably in their head thinking about, well, what do I say if I need to talk to the spouse? Dude, they might buy. Yeah. If you called me, like I'm the type of person that I'll opt in for a lead when I'm ready to buy it. I'm like, okay, I want to buy some shit. What's his lead? How do I find a phone call? Yo, what do you got? Sell me. Yeah. Like I'm that guy. Like what if I'm that guy calling and you're worrying about me talking to my freaking spouse, the cat, the postman, or whatever. Yeah. And I just say, hey, yeah, here's my card. I'm ready. And you're like, shit, what do I do here?
I love that.
I was worrying so much about the objection. How do I take the payment?
I want to ask you this one last couple of questions. So I was on your website. What's one of your favorite body language hacks and why?
Favorite body language hacks? Yeah. I mean, just radically changing my state is going to be the first thing.
Okay. And like, tell us what you mean by that.
Right. So our states combine with 3 different things. So the first one is our focus. The things we focus on seem real. So if I said to everyone listening to this, if you're driving, don't do this. But if you're just watching this, close your eyes for real. I'm watching you, close your eyes, and just imagine biting down on a lemon wedge. Yeah. Really juicy lemon wedge. Like most people don't do this. They'll either, sometimes they taste it, sometimes they smell it, but I'll often feel this like little tingle that go, strange. And I'm like, I said, put up your hand. How many of you ate the lemon just then? Like nobody, right? But how is it that none of you actually ate a lemon, but your body acted in a way where it thought it tasted a lemon? You see, our mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. Sure. Like our unconscious mind, whatever it sees and focuses on, it seems real and we'll feel it. Yeah. So, and I like to use the lemon as an example, and it comes back to that future pacing, things like this. So really controlling our focus. How do we control our focus? By doing that, asking questions. Questions will control our focus. People ask horrible questions. They'll say, why is this happening to me? Why can't I close deals today? Why is it not working? Why is my income growing? Why is my spouse mad at me?
Reframing it to like, how can I get better at closing deals tomorrow? Or what skills do I need to learn so I can get better at closing?
Yeah. how is the best way to reframe that? Because why is a disempowering question? Why is it going to put it back on ourselves? We have this part of our brain, the reticular activating system, that's going to go and find evidence to prove the thing you're focused on is real.
That makes sense.
So if we go, why am I bad at this? The brain will go, well, I don't know, but hold on a second. Let me go find evidence of the last 30 years of your life. Well, remember when you were 6 and that girl broke up with you in front of the whole school? Yeah, well, that's why you suck, because that happened and this. And it all comes back into now and you go, oh, see, that's why I suck.
Yeah.
Then we'll justify, rationalize, which then forms another belief as to why we can't do it.
How can I get better at closing? Then your brain starts to be like, well,
Focus on
what training
opportunities.
program should I buy? Maybe I should practice more. Like you're thinking about the solution rather than the negative past.
Yeah. So if we go, how could I improve sales? Instead of going, why am I so bad at sales? Go, how could I improve sales? You're listening to this podcast right now. Probably go and check out everything Jeremy does, right? Yeah. Well, how could I do this? Well, have I bought Jeremy's program? No. Start there, maybe. Yeah. Learn some skills. Get the book. Come to an event. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah. But if we block ourselves immediately from the focus, and then this changes our state, our internal state, because we'll put the self-doubt. Oh, we can't do it. So all these things it happens like in a millisecond. Our brain just goes to this crazy place. Yeah. The second one is our physiology. So this comes into body language. So I'm not a body language expert in the way of teaching. I love analyzing in other people. So I don't really actually get myself into a place of going like, how do I put my body in a good way? But I'm very aware that body language has been shown to be about 30%, 37% of our communication. There's different studies to show it all, but it's a shit ton more than language alone.
Yeah, there's that study where it says 93% is your nonverbal and 7% is your actual words. It's a bit off. It's quite a bit off. That study's kind of, I'm not going to get into it, but it's actually about 30% of you making a deal is actually your words. It's about 30%, because that study, I won't get into the details on this. First of all, it's a really, really old study based off like very limited data compared to what we have, but it's about 30, right?
I would say it has to,
your body language and the words.
Yeah, it's good. Words definitely has to be a lot more. But how I see this, so I run a speaker training program in Australia, and I break this down because to be a great speaker, it's about communication. So let's break this down. Language, tonality, body language. And I get people up on stage practicing this framework I teach. I said, so get up here and use just language alone. So you have to stand here like this, no tonality.
Monotone body language.
You have to, hello, my name is Morgan Nelson, welcome, right? Yeah. And then I'm like, and then they test it. I said, now get up here, do the exact same framework, but just tonality, but no words. So da 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 da, right? Yeah. And you can see the way people are communicating. So I would say that tonality and body language is more than words.
Oh, for sure.
The percentage, I don't know how you could ever figure that out. Yeah. But words definitely is a lot, because I could also sit down.
More than 7%.
You could sit down and start saying things and completely change how people are thinking. Yeah. Like hypnosis. Yeah. I can sit down and hypnotize someone with just language. I'm not touching them. Yeah. My tonality is quite low.
Tonality is really, really important. Yeah.
You know, tonality is quite low the whole time, but I'm not changing it really. I'm quite low tonality. My body language, I'm sitting. So words alone, I could hypnotize someone doing crazy shit. Yeah. I love that. So physiology is that second one, and really sort of looking into that. So like I said, I'm not big on the teaching it, but I can read it a lot in other people. Yeah. I think the most important thing is just to focus on how's our stance. So is our ears over our heart, and is our heart over our hips? That's what I focus on. So we're actually standing up straight. People in our generation have this posture, you know, and I would just focus on that. It's my chest out. Yeah. I feel confident. I feel more confident out like here. If I'm like this, they also did the studies of the Amy Cuddy did this study that actually she came out and then proved it wrong. Yeah. So of the, the power pose. Okay. They did it through Harvard, where you did the power pose, and if you stand there for 2 minutes, it's going to increase testosterone. It's going to increase your power to make better decisions. But regardless if that's true or not, it can increase how you actually feel inside. Sure. You can feel more confident. And I've done this in countless rooms across the world where, like, show me the body language of someone who's depressed. And everyone's like, oh, like this. Yeah. I said, are you excited to take action right now? No. Yeah. Now show me someone who's excited. Show me someone who just won an Olympic gold medal. Yeah. Everyone's like, yeah. Yeah. I said, so are you more excited or less excited now? Like, way more excited. Yeah. So, like, it's going to change how you feel about what you're about to do. Yeah. And then the third one is language and meaning. So language and meaning, the things we're saying to ourselves, what's happening inside of this? Like, if we say to ourselves, being tired is a state as well, right? So I feel like I'm so tired. I don't buy into that. Yeah. I don't buy in. If I ever catch myself being like, I'm tired, I'm like, change it. Do something to change it. focus on energy, go for a walk, get moving, do something. Don't buy into the idea of, I don't have much energy or whatever, right? So the things we say to ourselves will tell our mind on what to focus on. The things we focus on will tell our body what to feel, our physiology will change it all. And all these things together, the triad, is going to change our internal state. Our internal state has more to do with our body language than actually any sort of, thing we could learn. So like, let's say if someone's like, well, I heard that body language, if you have one hand in your pocket and do this, you seem intelligent or something like this.
It depends. It's all the context,
Yeah.
I see a lot of people doing this type of stuff, or they're like, oh, well, if they fold their arms, it means they're closed off. Well, how do you know? It might be cold, or maybe they're having a bad day and they're thinking about somebody else that they're closed off to. You can't, you got to understand the context. It's not like a proven science on everything. It's not a straitjacket interpretation. And what I always say is that even your face, like your facial expressions, are the remote control to your tone, right? So if you want to have like a confused tone, try having a straight face. You can't do it. It'd be like watching your favorite movie star, right, in Hollywood, or whoever your favorite movie star is on TV. And could you imagine them if they just had a straight face and their tone sounded like this the entire time, monotone, like a telemarketer? You wouldn't know who they were. They'd never make it in the movie, right? Yeah. It's their tonality, it's their body language. Even if you call on the phone, let's say if you're a salesperson that cold calls, your body language affects your voice on the phone. So a lot of people, telemarketers, the reason why they sound like this, because they just sit there, they read the script, and they just sound like a monotone robot. I always say monotone body language means monotone voice. Yeah. I think on this topic, the person who I think is the best at this is one of my mentors, Chase Hughes. I was telling you, I was with Chase yesterday, and he worked on this for 20 years. He trains with special agencies on literally body language influence and all this. And he also said the same thing. This alone is a deception detector. Like, so this could be someone saying I'm being closed off, but only if it's used in conjunction with other things. Yeah. So it's like a lie detector test. So a lie detector test won't actually say that person's lying. It's just going to monitor an increase in your blood pressure. To then, that's why they'll circle it, and they'll circle back to what were we talking about at that time? Okay. When I said, where were you at 10 o'clock on Friday, and your blood goes up? Right. Oh, I was at home. Doesn't mean you're lying, but it means that question alone, let's dig into that a little bit more. Yeah. And I think the best thing that someone could take is, if they want to, instead of trying to improve their body language to be a certain way, to be a fake competence, or a fake confidence, I think it's better to actually work on dealing with our own internal crap and being the embodiment of someone who's, authentic within. Yeah. It's about the human connection, right? Yeah. Tony Robbins said it's best. He's like, in order to influence a human being, you have to emotionally connect with them where they feel like you understand them without buying into their story. Yeah. And that's a very unique balance, where they feel like you understand them, but you're not buying into their limitations or their limiting beliefs or their story, because they've already done that. And if you buy into their limiting beliefs, you offer them no value. So limiting belief might be like, I don't have the money for it, or I don't have the budget for it, or, this is the last money I have. Well, yeah, I'm assuming that your intention is not just to keep the last money you have in your bank account and hope it stays there forever. I'm sure your real intention is never have to worry about money again, right? Tension frame. So I'm like taking him into a different way of thinking, results-based thinking, depending on what you sell, right? Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So there's one technique that I want to get better at, actually, in NLP, that I would say for anyone in sales. People should go do NLP just for this. It's called Sleight of Mouth. I've heard of that book. Yeah. And it's the guy, well, there's actually a guy called Robert Dilts. He's probably like the leading, I shouldn't say this, but I've never met him, but I'm sure he's a really nice guy. But I did a training actually with him. He's super good. He's probably the most skilled in the world at teaching it. He's just super old school and is a bit like hard to pay attention. It's just kind of like, come on, come on, get to it. Yeah. For my like brain. But he did he teaches Sleight of Mouth, and essentially exactly what you just did. It's not this, it's that. You're just reframing him to a new identity, a new way of Sleight of Mouth. I think it's like 16 different reframes. Yeah. And it's the most gangster thing. People in like lawyers, salespeople, they should be really understanding. You want to see someone who's actually done Sleight of Mouth the best ever. Who's that? Go and watch Piers Morgan versus Andrew Tate, the first interview they did. Really? Okay. Yeah. And I was watching it because they're both incredible debaters. Any great debater is just perfect at Sleight of Mouth. Yeah. Because Sleight of Mouth will change you from focus on one thing to another. Yeah.
and that's all. A belief is there because I'm focused on one perspective. Well, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now I'm shifted my focus.
Yeah.
So I was watching the interview and it was just fascinating. This was back when I was still very sort of like looking at Andrew Tate, like, do I like this guy? Do I not like this guy?
Yeah.
And I was watching this objectively. And I listened to Andrew talk and I was like, he makes a really good point. I really agree with what he just said.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What about you, Pierce Morgan? And Pierce like, no, but that's just like saying da da da. And I'm like, hey, he's got a point, Andrew. Like, I'm
Right,
and then I'm the whole
You get blown
time.
back and forth. Yeah.
And by the end of that interview, I came to the conclusion that there is absolutely no truth in this world.
Yeah.
The truth lays.
Truth can be in the middle.
So there's
Often
a
it
saying
is.
that our words create our worlds. The only truth exists. It comes down to the words in which we use to create our world that we'll view.
Yeah.
And then that's the world we live in, our own perspective.
That's the way you see the
Our
world.
lens.
That's your frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the most gangster stuff.
I love that. Okay, so Morgan, where can they go to learn more about what you do? Maybe go to one of your events. Like, where can they go?
Yeah. So best place. So I'll give you the link so they can get like our planner. So like that's the most coolest thing. My team begged me to make that because I run 4 different companies and I have a lot of fun and stuff. And they're like, how do you do so much? I'm like, I make this plan. I used to write out every day on a piece of paper at home.
Yeah.
And they're like, can we make that and actually turn it into a book? I said, yeah, okay. So we can give that for free.
Okay.
And Instagram, Morgan T. Nelson.
Okay.
That's the best place.
So
Come hang
follow
out with
you
me
on
there.
IG.
Yeah.
Okay.
And YouTube, Morgan Nelson. See all of our podcasts on there. You see our podcasts on there.
That's right, man. I'm trying to remember. We talked about a lot of gangster stuff. Man.
Yeah. Sales. I had you sell me some cups.
We had you sell you. Okay, you had me sell you a cup. I remember that. Yeah. I remember the place where you had that. Yeah. Okay. The fluffy chairs.
Yeah. So that's the best places. YouTube for our podcast.
Okay.
Or Dream Out Loud. They can find on iTunes and all that. Or
Perfect.
just come find us on Instagram.
All right. Awesome. Guys, hope that helped you. And if you have any questions, so if you got questions about sales, the best way to reach me is just to text me. All right. People always ask me how to get a hold of me. Just text me 480-637-2944. Myself and a couple of sales trainers, we actually take about an hour a day to answer your questions. Watch that a couple of times. Did a lot of reframing in there, some good stuff about self-doubt, limiting beliefs, how to overcome those as a salesperson or entrepreneur. Until next time, we'll see you soon.